Welcome back, Peculiar fans. It is time for more Pontiac work.
Pontiac work.
So today is not wiring. Today we're going to pick the car up and get started on plumbing the fuel system. If you recall, in the tank we already have a 58 psi regulator that's built in with the Holley kit. So we literally just have a feed line. So we're going to deadhead the sniper, which works just fine for anybody that says it doesn't work. Deadheading seems to work just fine for everything. You know, look at a modern LS engine, they're deadheaded. So that's not going to be a big problem. He did pick up some heat sleeve. I still have some sitting here. I'm sure I've got more in the other room. And we're just going to see where things want to fall. You know, where do we want to put a fuel filter and that sort of thing. I like to use available factory parts whenever possible for filters and maintenance items. So if in 30,000-40,000 miles he's starting to have some performance issues and he's out on power tour, which is the example I always use, every parts store in the country has one of these, whereas some of those weird fancy aftermarket ones, and now you're ordering it and waiting somewhere. So he's getting ready to pick the car up, and we will remember the way it was routed and probably try to replicate that a little bit, because obviously that's already a safe routing. So all right, we will bring you back when the car is up. Okay, we have been kind of looking and mapping. One thing to remember is our source is right up here, so we're gonna have a hose coming like this. Oh, I guess I could put a light on there so you guys can see. So let me set that there. All right, so you can see there's our feed, and obviously the actual hose is a little thicker, but that'll be up in there. It's going to come down just like the old one was, in some protective sleeving, and it'll come across there, and then in here, because it's coming across right here, we will do either a 90 or a 45 off that hose. We'll see what fits, into the adapter, into our factory filter, which will be right here, away from the exhaust, away from the suspension, easy to get at for maintenance. I think that's ideal. And then we'll just do like the previous people did when they were routing it. And we'll go right up over the dog leg, come back down into this mess down here, bring it down, and then follow the brake line and give ourselves plenty of clearance to the transmission cross member. Bring her up, and we will probably bring her up the box here, bring her around, and then leave her long so that when we have the engine in, we can really fine tune where we want that to be. But you can see there's some options here. So I think we will get started at routing a line and seeing exactly where things fall and marking out what areas need heat sleeve and what areas just need sleeve for protection. So I think that's our next step. Okay, we got that black heat shielding and protector on the hose, which, treated like a Chinese finger trap. But while we were under here, you notice this bracket. Okay, it didn't damage it, but it's definitely leaving a mark on it. So we're going to sleeve this just to keep it safe. And we will probably even take and knock that corner off of this with the grinder, just to keep sure, make sure nobody's going to get upset and nobody's going to get damaged. So yeah, you can see right there. All right, after a little debate, this is the routing we've decided up here, and I've left it long so that we can get up to the actual sniper. And I do want the protective sleeve all the way to the back of the motor. From that point, if we still want more sleeving, we can always add some, easy enough. So now, it was not easy, but we got it back on the other side of the mount, which means now we can get a couple clamps on here, keep it safe, keep it out of the exhaust, and then we will start clamping all the way down here, and then we will run out of the black stuff just in the spot where we would want the silver stuff anyway. So that's going to work out pretty nice. We're really happy. We have fought the good fight and dug through all my clamps to find a bunch of 35s. And we're going to take some stainless screws, which you got to be careful with because, you know, they are a little brittle, but it shouldn't be too bad. And we will start clipping this up and working our way back. Right. Oh, I'll start up here. You can see where that crossmember space is. It's up over that tire. From the inside, we have a clip here. It's following a natural ridge and will be secured here. We've got her coming over, and this is where we transition from the aluminized to the black stuff. We haven't trimmed all that. That follows along, and we threw the cross member in just to make sure we'd be good. And we left ourselves a little service loop here for getting that in and out. And then that comes up and then comes up and around. And then you can see how much extra there is. So we're pretty happy with that. That is much safer than what it was when we started with the car, when it was literally just a hose hanging here, zip tied everywhere. And then there was a pump right there. It was pretty spooky. What I like to do with these slip-on fittings is go ahead and take a little bit of lubricant and spray in them because they work by an O-ring in there. So now I know we're not going to roll or tear that O-ring. And then to get these off, you just pop these little guys in and slide the fitting off, just like GM intended. We've got this connection set that goes up over the frame. And what I was just doing is relaxing that a little bit. That one pinch went over, so I've relaxed that a little bit so that it'll want to come up to that point right there. Don't worry about the wiring. The wiring's going to go back. It's not going to go across here, I don't think. So we're going to get that on. Remember, there's a plate that goes here. In fact, you can see the plane that the plate goes on. So that will be protected from the tire, protected from heat, protected from everything. You know, this is, of course, why we wanted to pull that out to make sure that this was nice and safe. But yeah, we're pretty happy with that. And then that comes around to our easy to service filter in a spot where we can actually reach it on the side of the road. Here is our fuel system. So remember, we have an intake pump sitting down there with a regulator and a bypass. Okay, this is the only one of those fittings because that's the way it's designed. And then that comes down, goes over, just like the factory did and just like the previous owner did. Only now we've got our filter, nice easy spot, everything's relaxed. You can see it can all move and this can twist, it's no biggie. So now that comes up and over. And then we follow the brake lines. And in a few spots we actually clamp because we don't want it to be an issue when we're dealing with transmission cross member. And then it's going under there, and I know it may not look like it, but it has got tons and tons of room. We also did clearance that, and look how nice that is. You can't even tell that we cut so much off. And then this is all sitting here ready when the engine is in. So there is that. That came out pretty nice. We're really happy, and it went a lot smoother than we honestly had any right to expect. And we used a decent amount of material. We didn't have to use that 10-footer. And we do have extra fittings because we did change the whole system, but I always make people order extra fittings anyway because they're so cheap you wouldn't want to be halfway through this and then waiting on a Summit order. So that's where we're at right now on the Pontiac. Pretty happy. The dog is still supervising. He's laughing at us as we're trying to find everything that we were working on over here. But before this goes in, one of the things we definitely want to know is that all our belts are lined up and that we know where everything is, because nothing's more frustrating than leaning over the fender trying to do all this stuff. So we're just kind of looking for everything. We're going to have to try the new bracketry for the AC compressor and get all that lined up, because these are definitely things we need to know. We don't want to fight this game down in that hole, leaned over. It's such a big car. Plus, you really can't see it as well as you can right now. And ShopDog says, yeah, you got to do it the smart way. Come on, buddy. There you are. One of the steps we're doing is playing with our bracket And of course it uses holes that haven't ever been used. So we've got our chase kit and we're just cleaning the holes out. Because no screws have ever been in these. They're just full of goop and paint and grease and who knows what. So got to get those cleaned out before we try to put bolts in. ShopDog thinks we're a bunch of morons because this is taking forever. But we've learned two things. One, this car was not originally a power steering car. So this was just a kit somebody threw together using that. Well, we're going to need this front groove for the AC. So we're going to have to get the correct either 2-groove or rear groove pulley for this so that it can drive with the alternator, which would be, according to our instructions here, correct. The other thing is that, in shipping, everything got damaged and we didn't notice that page. So we were trying to follow the wrong instructions. So we do need these spacers, which is good to know because then we'll weld them on before we paint that up real nice. But you can see this gives us pretty good alignment. And yes, we'll get a longer belt. It will come down to the crank pulley. We're just looking for alignment right now. And that looks pretty good. So I got to say, at this point, I think we know what we're trying to do here. We've got a few bolts we're going to change and replace and everything, but this is something that's way, way easier to do out here than it is in the car. Fighting these spacers in the car would be a nightmare. Also, we apparently don't have whatever style head they're referencing, because we've got these 2 holes to screw into something, and yeah, we don't have that. Not on these. So, should be plenty solid enough. We don't even have it screwed down yet, and it's already pretty solid. Because those are nylocks, and you only really want to do those once. So, okay. I think we're getting ready to wrap it for today. We've actually got a lot accomplished. So, now we lost where this heater hose support goes when we added that. But if we drill and tap a hole in roughly the same place it would have been anyway, and instead of using that hole to locate it like we would have, we can just do that sort of thing, and it will still keep this hose nice and supported out of the way, keep it out of the new belt, keep it off the exhaust, which is the whole point. So we can deal with that. Obviously this is all going to come apart and we'll do some welding and get it painted. We have a couple different pulleys on order to see if we can get this moved back where we need it to be. It's just a Saginaw keyway, and we're really hoping that Chevrolet pulleys are going to fit. We just can't see why they wouldn't, but we ordered a single and a double, and hopefully one of those will line up. We also took some guesses on some belts, so we ordered a 54, a 55, a 60, and a 61, because it sure looked like those were going to put us right in our ballpark. And you can always return the one we don't need, but we really, really have to have all this sorted out before it goes back in. Let's see, what else were we working on? We still got to clean up the motor mounts and the transmission mount. We finally figured out what this is. This is the hanger for the starter, for the back of the starter. Yep, we do have new mounts. That's always nice. So, oh wow, the whole new mount.
Oh yeah, all brand new mounts.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's nice. We don't even have to clean those.
You just need the bolts.
You just bought the whole thing. Perfect. See, you just don't remember all the time. Yeah, I just didn't have the right lengths in my stack of belts, and I went through a bunch back there, but they were shorter. So that's okay. We can order belts, because when we're done, he really wants to have something in the glove box with belt sizes on it, because that's something you really want to know when you're out traveling and you throw a belt. But yeah, it's definitely coming a little ways. That goes out on the firewall. Oh, wait, no. This engine? It might not. It might go somewhere weird. We'll have to look at our video from before. And then now that the car's down, you can see how much extra hose we've got supporting there. Now we'll have to figure out how we want to route it once the engine's in there. And we can mock up the fuel injection. But I'm pretty sure I want to pull it to the passenger side. It's usually my preference. I don't like to put things in with the linkage if I can help it. So yeah, we're very happy with the fuel system. That came out real nice. So at this point, I think we're going to call this a Pontiac video.
Thanks for watching.